At one time, all Africa and the nearby surrounding lands, before the parting of Africa from Asia and other territories, were called Ethiopia or Ether Utopia, Genesis 2:13. Kush, called Kish in pre-Bible time, is now El-Habasha, and the Atlantic Ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean. Many refer to Ethiopia as the Kingdom of Meroe and Napata, but actually the official name is Kush. So-called scholars who were trying to hide the fact that these are all the same people use various names. The Pa-Tama who man's motto has been divide and conquer since the beginning of time. When you kill off a person, you kill off his whole race. That is what he refers to as genocide, genocide. Remember, the whole family lives on through procreation. Oftentimes, the survival of one being meant the extinction of another. One of these such star systems was Rizq, a planet in the 19th galaxy, the 8th planet of a 3-sun system which was inhabited by the Rizkians, also called Neteru. The 3 sons of this planet Rizq were known in time by different names. The most common being Atum, Atun, and Amun, referred to as the Re-Ra, rays. The Sumerians called them Utu, Afsu, and Shamash. When this planet, Rizq, was visited by disagreeable beings from a dying star, they were welcomed into this great empire. Those that welcomed them were called Neteru. The Sumerians called them Anutu. The Council of 9 Enneads of the pre-dynastic periods, before man was called man. These deities met with open arms, and they passed our decision on to the 24 elders of Rizq, who passed it on to the 144 governors of the 18th and 19th galaxies, 72 governors of the disagreeable 18th galaxy and 72 governors of the agreeable 19th galaxy. Thus, it was agreed to share one of the 3 continents of the planet Rizq with these beings in distress. Rizq's 3 continents are called Zarantu, Darn-Uriya, and Kuzmista. These disagreeable beings were only allowed to live on the continent called Darn-Uriya. In time, these disagreeables had decided that they wished to rule the whole planet, and even the whole galaxy, under one such being called Tarnush, who ruled a variety of star systems, such as Draco, Aldebaran, Betelgeuse, Pleiades, Andromeda, and others, all on this side of the Milky Way. Recent discoveries have found the 19th galaxy through other star systems, where scientists and astronomers have discovered 4 new solar systems. 1. Fomalhaut, where a star is covered by matter. 2. Beta Pictoris, which shows a star covered by dust, and a blob below it covered by dust. 3. HR 4796a, a cloud of dust surrounds, which is an infant solar system. 4. Vega, where you see a star in a concentrated spot then layers of clouds. They have also discovered 2 suns, and they will soon discover a 3rd. On October 8, 1997, astronomers have discovered what they call the most powerful star as of yet, and named it the Pistol Star, because of its shape. The star was discovered using the Hubble telescope, which is powerful enough to see eruptions. The magnitude of the star is 9 million times brighter than the sun. As the agreeable beings from the 19th galaxy get nearer to the disagreeable beings from the 18th galaxy, and the time runs out and the star wars in the form of quasars, meteorite showers, climatic alterations, floods, landslides, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, viruses on goes. The disagreeables are in deer and confusion. This is a repeat of what took place on Rizq, and then this disagreeable being Tarnush, also known as Beelzebub, Humbaba, Su-En, the dragon, Satan, etc., wished to rule Ilion. This resulted in the destruction of the shield that protected Rizq, much like what the disagreeable amongst your race of humans, who are destroying your ozone layer, are doing today. The first ones to be warned by the guardian beings called Etherians about the dangers were the 9 Enneads, and they in turn warned the 24 Neteru, who warned the 144 Ephrati. Crafts were prepared for these Siders, to depart this planet for another planet in this same galaxy Ilion. They headed for one of the 18 other planets in the 19th galaxy Ilion. This planet was Septet, so Sib to that which shares the 18th and 19th galaxies, the link between the 2. You call it Sirius, and whom the Greeks call Sothis, having 2 moons, and its sister star system Risan. We went there in order to prepare a plan and solution to the problems on our home planet before its total destruction, which would result in a star holocaust, and a total destruction of that galaxy Ilion. This would have resulted in the total collapse of the 18th galaxy, the Milky Way, where you presently reside. Nu or Noon represents the personification as a netter of primeval, relating to earlier ages of the world, dark liquid mass of waters that contained all principles necessary for the things of life, from which all the human Neteru, deities, evolved. This netter's chief titles are Father of the Deities, and Begetter of the Great Company of the Deities. He is also referred to as the Abyss, depicted as a seated deity having upon his head disk and plumes, or a bet man waist high in water supporting the Manjut solar bark of a moon Ra. The first Adam and Eve was Apsu, one who existed from the beginning, and Tiamat, maiden of life, who were known to the ancient Egyptians as Nun, deity of the ocean, and Nunet, female deity of the ocean. The soul is the ether, life force within you and is the source of vitality of life for all forms. The soul is therefore the nature of the inner part of man. In Arabic the word soul is ruh from the root word ruach. In Hebrew the word soul is ruach, which is defined as wind according to Webster's New World Dictionary. Wind is broken into 3 sections and is defined as the following. Wind 1, to turn, or make revolve, to move as by cranking, to coil around itself or around something else winding, to cover by encircling something. Wind 2, air that is moving, a strong, fast-moving air current, gale, breathe or the power of breathing. Wind 3, to blow, to sound. The origin of the word spirit comes from the Latin word spiritus, which means breath, breath of God, inspiration. Spirare, the Latin from Old Roman meaning, to breathe. In Spanish, which is derived from Latin, from the Simon & Schuster's International Spanish-English Dictionary. The word spirit is A. Espiritu, alma, B. Espiritu, alma, soul, mente, intelligence, wit, and C. Espiritu, immaterial being, strength, courage, energy, the purest part of one's body, that is, the spirit of the time, poor in spirit. This definition is really describing soul. In Latin the definition for soul is the animating and vital principle in man credited with the faculties of thought, action and emotion. In theology, spirit is the spiritual nature of human beings considered in relation to the Elohim, regarded as eternal, immortal, separable from the body at death, and susceptible to happiness or misery in a future state. The Spanish word for soul is alma, which corresponds with many meanings. A. The spiritual element of the human being from where understanding, memory and will comes from. B. What strengthens something. C. Principal part of a person of individual. Central part void, solid of something. In Arabic the word for spirit is nafs from the root word nafasa meaning, to breathe, inhale and exhale, to take a breath, pause for breath, to take a rest. In Hebrew the word spirit is nefesh. Spiritual gifts are words of wisdom, words of knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment, multilingual, circumcision or control of tongues, right understanding, sound right reason. The Rizkian have the ability to speak any language and can communicate telepathically. They also communicate in tones. A Rizkian body is always vibrating at a certain tone, which they use to communicate, and when frustrated learn to tune in on a certain tone to bring down the vibrations of the body and just focus on one tone. They are kind and loving, yet stern. They claim to be the parents of the Nubians on the planet Earth, father of the ancient Sumerians and Egyptians and the various cultures of the South Americas. They are the builders of the pyramids, prophet of your scriptures, and they owe allegiance to one called El, which is closest to what humans call their god. There's also a disagreeable group that have conspired with the reptilians and other species known as the Luciferians. Rizkians do not have different species. We don't have genetic makeups, everyone looks alike, unlike here on Earth where you have all different kinds of animals, which is why you look different. We don't age and in fact have the cure for death. On Earth from the moment you're born you are dying. The cure for death, along with other cures, was discovered long ago by the Elohim scientists Nergal and Erishkigal. El-Alyun, who is Anu, is one, as a group called 9 Enneads, the 7 archangels, 1, Gabriel, 2, Uriel, 3, Uziel, 4, Raphael, 5, Uzrael, 6, Zamarel, and 7, Michael, and originally there was also 9, but 2 fell, Azazel and his son Samael of your Bible and Quran. The Egyptian gods called the Netarus, whose first abode after leaving Rizq was Sibta Sirius in Iliun, before coming to this Milky Way, in which this planet is a part. There is a Tamarian deity called Atum, the head of the 9 Enneads, 1, Suchuk, 2, Neptet, 3, Aset, 4, Asaru, 5, Nut, 6, Geb, 7, Tefnut, 8, Shu, and 9, Re, the 9 months of conception for birth. Shu, the male is the deity of air. 3. Tefnut, the female is the deity of rain and moisture, that is atmosphere, who is the mother of Geb, the male deity of earth, soil, sustenance, and this list of names will lead into Nut, the female deity of the sky, which takes you into Asaru the male, Aset the female, Suchuk the male, and Nebthut, the female, which leads into humankind. The Etherians are crystal light energy from Iliun and can take on the form of anything. The word Igigi is a title used for those that stayed in the ships and were your Etherians. The Etherians are the providers and they police the universe in respect, as far as being responsible for living things. We like good angels because they do this for us. And we don't like bad angels because they hurt us. They are not concerned with this, but must maintain the universe to prevent a star holocaust. They personify to whomever, and their assignment is the guardians of life, of which Anu is a prominent member, sent forth. Now at this point in time, Pa-Wadjet the Cobra, the one with the full knowledge of Heka secrets, magical powers, who only whispers the secrets of divination. Tahuti he is called by some, keeper of the records. He was more prudent, cunning, wiser than any living creature in flesh of the simian baboon beast of Tama-Ri, which Pa-Neb-Ptah Shil Pa-Notstaru had brought from Sapt and appointed it. Was this Tahuti, son of Pa-Notster-Ptah and Pa-Notstert-Nath? One of many. Tahuti as Wadjet spoke with the female Nut of the sky, daughter of Shu and Tefnut of the air, breath of life and the moisture liquid of the circulatory system. So Notster Tahuti said to Nut, did a Notstarat say, you should not betake of any and all the trees of Hut-Ba-Ptah? And the female Nut answered Tahuti and said to Pa-Wadjet, we myself Nut and my consort Geb of the ground, earthling, are allowed to betake of the fruits of the trees of Pa-Hut-Ba-Ptah. However, of the fruit of the tree which is in the center temple Dendera of Edfu, a Notstarat has told Geb you are not to betake of it. Nor are you to touch it or you will drop dead. And Pa-Wadjet said to the female Nut that Pa-Notster Bess is lying to you. If you betake up the fruit you will not drop dead, that's a lie. Because Notstarat only told Geb that lie because Pa-Notster Bess knows the truth, that the very moment you betake of this Pa-Mafguze liquid gold, elixir, monatomic gold, that your Ujjata will open up and your light body Ak will activate your Ka and Ba and your Kot, and Pa-Mafguze the elixir will transfigure you back into Pa-Notstaru, and as such you will recognize the agreeable Notstaru from the disagreeable Notstaru. He will have no power you don't have. And when the female was exposed to Tahuti's tree of life everlasting and saw that the tree fruit elixir tastes good, an intake like food, and that the liquid gold elixir and tree of Tahuti looked good, his phallus at the ritual of Pa-Notster Min, and that Nut's sensual sexual desires to learn even more wisdom of pleasures, she reached out and betook of the ritual of Min and raised the apron of Pa-Wadjet to reveal the serpent of Tahuti, and betook of the elixir, the gold of the Notstaru, its fruit thereof. And she Nut became a personification of the cosmic elements and evolved, transformed into a Nebtot of Pa-Wadat Hat Haravan, Anu, Heliopolis over the skies as she is seen today, mother of all living. What took place when she drank the liquid gold, the elixir of Pa-Notstarat? Her physical body transformed and the process took place. Nut's Bartholin gland on the inside of her vaginal orifice started to secrete a lubricant like mucus, like the vulva urethral glands in Pa-Notstaru. This discharged fluid is the liquid gold, and is the semen or spermatozoa, and Nut, as all females of Earth after her, can produce seminal fluids on their own without male. So being, she was first to be transformed. As a female she received the mitochondrial DNA, the gene responsible for transferring to the child. It's hereditary, it's from the mother not the father, from Nut not Geb. She was first to be transformed into Notstratat, so she revealed the best kept secrets to Geb, her male part, who was now under her, and Geb did betake of it from her, and was also transformed, and they both knew who the real liar was, for they did not drop dead. And after that both of them was transformed. Their Ujjatat were opened. They realized they had sexual parts and were exposed, as was Tahuti when Nut raised his apron and exposed his Wadjet, so they sewed fig leaves together and made for themselves aprons. And Geb and Nut heard the voice of Pa-Neb-Bes Shil Pa-Notstarat, as he was walking in Pa-Dendera in the afternoon breeze, and Geb and his female Nut hid themselves from the real liar's presence, Pa-Neb-Bes Shil Pa-Notstarat, amongst the trees of Pa-Hut-Ba-Ptah. And Pa-Neb-Bes Shil Pa-Notstarat called out for Geb and said to him, where are you hiding? And Geb came out to him and said, I heard you talking in Pa-Dendera, and I became afraid of you because I was nude, and I hid myself from you. And in anger Bes said, who told you about nakedness? Did you betake of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not betake of? And the male Geb said, the female whom you yourself gave to be with me, she gave me, she introduced me to the tree, and yes I did betake of it. And Pa-Neb-Bes Shil Pa-Notstarat said unto the female, Nut, what is this that you have done? And the female Nut said, Pa-Wadjet Pa-Notstarat Tahuti seduced me, and yes I did betake of it. And Pa-Neb-Bes Shil Pa-Notstarat said unto Pa-Wadjet Tahuti, son of Pa-Notster-Ptah and his consort Pa-Notstert-Nath, because you have violated our law and exposed the mortals to our rights and elixir, you will be hated, execrated above all apis bovine, and even more than every living creature of Pa-Hut-Ka-Ptah. On your belly will you go, and gold powder, gold dust will you consume, all the days of your life as the green one, of the lower Hut-Ba-Ptah is your domain, not the upper Hut-Ka-Ptah. Your shrine is at Pa-Pernu. Your consort is as Tahuti as Pa-Notstertmot. And I Bes will put hate between you Wadjet, Tahuti and the female Nut, and also between your Tahuti and Mot's offspring, and Nut and Geb's offspring. Her offspring will bruise your leadership, and yours will bruise how Geb's offspring ends up in the end. Unto the female Bes said, I will greatly increase your pains and the amount of offspring. While giving birth you will suffer much pain and still have sexual desires for your male part, and because of sex he will have powers over you. And to Geb Bes said, because you listened to the voice of your female part over my voice, and did betake of her elixir of her fruits of which I commanded you, and said you are not to betake of it. Cursed is the ground because of what you did, in sorrow will you have to get your own food all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles will it bring forth for you. No more easy life in the enclosed garden of delight Tamari, and you shall only eat herb of the field. And the sweat dripping off your nose will you get food to make bread until you die and return to the ground. Because you were taken out of it coated in gold powder, dust and you will die and return to powder. So Geb called his consort Hay, because Nut swallowed as it's recorded. Ray sails in his barge along the elongated body of Nut until Amun Amin or evening. When the disk of Ray the sun approaches the mouth of the sky not sturt not to be swallowed, the Ray travels with the stars, sperm through the hours of night safely inside the not sturt body, Kot, at autumn, dawn, the red glow, blood of which was called the daughter of Nut. The disk of the ray is seen emerging from the vulva of the sky not sturt, mother of all living. Unto Geb also and his consort Nut did Pa Neb Bes Shil Pa Notstarat make full coats of panther skin or a kilt and clothe them. And then Pa Neb Bes turned to his fellows and said, now look the mortal has become just like one of us, Notstaru. He knows who is good and who is evil, and now that he knows I lied to them he will not trust what I tell him. And he will put forth his hand like autumn and raise his own phallus or take hold of the tree of life, and also of his consort and betake of her and never die. So because of all this, Pa Neb Bes Shil Pa Notstarat sent Geb forth out of Pa Dendera in Edfu. No more would he live without labor in an enclosed garden of delight. He will have to work the ground from which his flesh was taken. So Bes drove out Geb and placed at the east of Dendera's enclosed garden of delight at the temple of Hat-Har in Aruba Beka, Mecca, evil Notstarat who had weapons of Tahuti, the serpent of brass, the brazen serpent full of flames which they turned every way, to keep the pathway to the secret temple of Hat-Har, where the rites of men was performed on the tree of life. Well as time passed on, men mixed with mortals and lost their powers. But the women each month her body purified itself and rebuilt her power, so the son of Notstaru came to earth to choose from the pure ones who have not lost their powers, to breed with them. And this is how it was and this is what must be done if you are to be transformed to make the trip home. First the woman must be transformed, then she will transform her man. But first they both must be cleaned inside out and outside in. So in time, Geb and Nut begot Asar, Aset, Suchuk and Net Hut, and again Asar and Aset begot Har and Har begot Hapi. And this is the seed of the woman.